Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Ciccone, and I have the gift of serving on the Make and Deepen Disciples team. And please hear this, it is truly an honor to serve you, the church. And Madam Moderator, it is also an honor and a privilege for me to introduce, with your permission, Pastor Steve Wong, who has come to give us a good news report on the incredible ministry named Crescendo.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's give Steve a hand, please.
All right, so we just saw a mention of Crescendo. How many of you know what Crescendo is? Oh, that's great. That's very encouraging. If you don't know what Crescendo is, get our app. It's on, you just go look for Crescendo Vital Living on your app store. Or you can look around for people who've got the purple shirts on. I know not everybody has a purple shirt on, but it'll say Crescendo or something like Ask Me About Crescendo. Or go to our booth out there, ably manned by Vance and Sudie Havens, or look around you. 10,000 people every day turn 65 in the U.S. 10,000 people a day. And so Evelyn Johnson and Alan Forsman, Debbie Blue started a movement in the Covenant just a few years back to help people thrive in the later seasons of life through lifelong discipleship. The pandemic was a fruitful time for us in Crescendo. We strengthened our coaching network, we expanded our leadership team, and we became more intentional about leaning into our multi-ethnicity. So that's my role. I am on the leadership team in the area of Mosaic advancement. And so we want to reach out to all cultural groups. And so my job really is to pray and to listen to all of these groups, which you heard about from Bless, right? Begin with prayer, then listen. We discovered that we had a lot to learn. Prior to the 2022 midwinter, we reached out to the leadership of Alipe and the AAMA and discovered that the concerns of people 60 plus in these groups was different from what we had assumed. We found that our Latino and African American churches were concerned about something they called passing on legacy stories. Now, what are legacy stories? Legacy stories pass on to succeeding generations what is important, the wisdom and the blessing of shared values and chosen truths. I've seen this at work so many times all throughout this annual meeting. All of us have legacy stories to pass on, shared values, chosen truths. For instance, what do you wish you had asked your parents if they're no longer with us? Or what do you wish your children would ask you, or any of the succeeding generations, your nieces, nephews, whatever? Passing on legacy stories is life-giving to both the older generation as well as to the succeeding generations. American social norms tend to separate generations, marketing, segmentation, whatever. But how will succeeding generations learn who and what we need to hold on to, as we say, above all else? So Crescendo is working with our Covenant Marketing and Communications, so shout out to Jennifer McIntyre, who's invited us to work alongside of her crew to record and pass on these legacy stories, stories that describe the values and beliefs of our Latino and African American church cultures. And we're reaching out to the indigenous, to the Asian American, of course I have to do that, I'm one of them, populations in the Covenant. In fact, I just participated in a passing on of wisdom and blessing that was led by Jim Sakura in among our Kappa ordinands. I found out that I am a kapuna. You can ask Jim what that means. But I also learned about how to be a kapuna, how to be as somebody who's older. Okay, I'm 63. How I can pass on those things, the values, the beliefs, the wisdom, the blessings of my generation onto the next generation. And so even learning about that, that's part of my legacy story now. So we in Crescendo want to help you to pass on what is and who is important to you above all else for God's glory and for neighbors' good. Thank you for the time.